jury selection's been amazing. The candidates are being asked about their own connections to or impressions of an array of celebrities, and with no explanation why, at least not yet. The parlor games have begun, my friends. Everybody is trying to connect the dots between the shiny, famous names and the beleaguered rap star Diddy. Let's just start with the drip, drip, drip of all the names, because the internet is really on fire. What happened today?
You know, Ashley, a lot of the same things. You get asked these same exact questions about these celebrities with no real context as to why. And you really hit the nail on the head a minute ago when you said jury selection's kind of boring, but not in the Diddy case. Most prospective jurors who come into jury selection have never heard of the defendant, let alone have an opinion of them. But what we heard today was prospective jurors who were excluded because they flat out said they don't like Diddy going into it. They don't have a favorable opinion. One guy said he believed Diddy has enough money to buy his way out of jail, so those jurors immediately excluded. There was also some laughs in the courtroom today from the attorneys and the judge when one prospective juror said that he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't be able to smoke marijuana for all 8 to 10 weeks of the trial, so that person was excluded. But by the end of the day, they've added 10 more people to that pool of 45 that they're trying to get, because they're not impaneling the jury, like I said, typically as how we think of it. They're going to have a pool of 45 people who are acceptable prospective jurors. They expect that to be done tomorrow. And from that pool of 45, that is where they're going to choose their 12 jurors and their 6 alternates, Ash.
Welcome back to Grab Your Brew. Court is in session for Diddy, and we will be bringing you weekly updates on your court action from the entire week in one video. So grab your brew and join us for the first updates. If you do want to check out prior, like more in-depth, check out these videos right here on our channel. Otherwise, I'm going to do a small recap now.
Attacking his then-girlfriend, the singer Cassie, and then dragging her back toward a hotel room. Federal prosecutors said the video is powerful evidence of how dangerous the hip-hop mogul could be to women, part of why 2 different federal judges denied him bail.
People's lives, especially if they're completely innocent. Just because you showed up to a Diddy party, which everybody famous was doing, does not make you guilty by association. In the previous video that I did, they did say after a certain time, they did ask majority people to leave. Only the people staying for the after party were the ones involved. Not everybody was involved. So stop throwing names out because you could be destroying marriages, lives, and everything. But anyway, sorry, I just see how much damage is being done out here, and it's not fair to innocent people just because they have to show. Because let's face it, back in the 90s, if we could have gone to a Diddy party, we would have gone to a Diddy party, right? Use your logic when thinking about this stuff. But again, I'm not here to prove anybody's innocence or guilt. I'm showing you what I see. And it's an easier video for me because there's always been conspiracies and claims throughout the years, the 90s. So I'm very familiar with P. Diddy and the conspiracies. It's very interesting how much is coming to light now. So let's go ahead and dig in.
I just want to know how much more of my childhood is going to be ruined.
I hope they know my nigga got to fucking kidnap kids. Fuck them in they ass, throw them over the bridge. That's how it is.
So what were the main takeaways? What happened inside that courtroom? And if you can give us a little flavor of what did you observe from the man himself, Sean Combs?
Yeah, Jesse, it was pretty interesting because I think, we have seen many photos, videos of Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, through the Associated Press, through Instagram. And so to see him kind of in person after being in jail for 3 weeks now was pretty interesting, to say the least. And I say that by being that you would expect him to feel a little defeated, a little gaunt, anything like that. But it wasn't that case. He appeared confident. He stood tall. But most importantly and most notably, when he walked inside the courtroom, the first thing that he looked at was his family. As soon as he saw his family, he just lit up. Another thing to note, too, is he wasn't shackled, but he was wearing a khaki prison-like jumpsuit.
And no, gets zero royalties from, because he stole the song and decided to just add some lyrics to it and think, oh, this is mine now because I changed some lyrics around. No, it doesn't work that way. You should know you are a suit. Kim Porter was working as a receptionist and he was a suit. That's how they met. But let's remember that his disrespect for women stems from his mother, who would run brothels out of our house and have sex parties that he was exposed to from a very young age. So, to a woman and a mother, she is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Well, let's talk about Mama Diddy. Janice likes minors. She likes to drink breast milk, allegedly. She believes it makes you younger. Like how babies need those nutrients to, develop. Those same nutrients, she believes, rejuvenate you. She likes, allegedly, to have threesomes with her son. You know how you and your son play with my friend underage in the bed, Janice? It started with her, Clive Davis. Clive Davis, one of the main ones.
Clive Davis used to abuse Diddy, correct?
Correct.
Allegedly.
And you see right now when they're trying to ask him about Diddy, he's like, playing like he got no memory. But he was right there in the rooms with my friend who was underage. You know why he has so much anger against women? Because of you, Janet.
May 5th, the jury selection started, which was Monday. Which is pretty much, about getting rid of people rather than who's staying. If you pick the wrong jury member, you pretty much picked a losing battle. So it is quite tedious to do. But I do want to reinstate all the things that Diddy is being charged with. And I will put this link below of his court documents. There's a lot of AKAs because he likes to change his name a lot. He's been Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, aka Love.
I heard that one.
Yeah, he was going through a preacher phase, ironically.
Oh.
But yeah, it's okay, here we go. So we have review racketeering. Cut these blanks out. Racketeering conspiracy. Sex trafficking. I will say S a lot of times because if you say the word too many times, they do filter it out.
Okay.
It's just like say snacks or something. Sex S trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion. Count 2. Count 3, transportation and engaging in prostitution. Okay, so I'm gonna start that part again. Okay, so just a reminder, he's being charged with transporting and engaging with prostitution, S trafficking and abuse, racketeering on count 2, and S trafficking by force and fraud or coercion. But yeah, from all the reports I've seen, when you see him, he's no longer this. I don't want to say anything to compliment him, but this powerhouse that he's presented himself to be for years. They say that he's pretty much a grey-haired man because, of course, he can't dye his hair in jail, right?
Well, it was the big thing in the 90s, wasn't he? Early noughties.
But apparently he's completely grey now. And they look like basically he's your stereotypical 50-something-year-old man that looks like he may have a bad knee. They did say in the court documents, because of course they went into great detail because no cameras are allowed in the courtroom because it's a federal crime. We were seen rubbing his knee, and they did seem he seemed to be a more timid version of himself. That it seemed that what's the word I'm looking for?
His facade slipped.
Is it his facade or was he acting? Because I feel like playing a little frail old man, you know?
Yeah. Or it could be that with the drugs out of his system, he's feeling it.
Because reporters did say that that whole weak man persona seemed to fade, and he shot up out of his chair when a jury member with assets top and bottom, and he was standing the whole time lingering and staring at her. Yeah, of course. He pops up, pun intended, for somebody with assets, right?
Disgusting.
And
how can that be what's on his mind?
Right.
When he's facing
life in prison. And he's still, oh, look, buddy. I think he's way too egotistic. I believe he thinks that he's going to get away with this.
Well, when you've got that level of money, and if his childhood is what has been reported with his mother having a big role in some of his habits, he was already inclined to behave that way. Money probably made him feel invincible.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, it catches up eventually, but for a lot of people it doesn't.
Yeah.
Money.
Do you know what I thought was really interesting? How he's having this little persona. All of the reporters did state, multiple reporters had the same explanation, well, not explanation, statement that every morning he would hug all of his lawyers. Oh, hi. Oh. And he would smile at his family, which his family weren't there for jury duty, but they were there for the rest of the time. I don't know how, but I guess when you're brought up in that is normal to you. But yeah, it says on the first day he acted very meek. His first words in court were, "I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm a little nervous today." You should be way more than nervous. The first thing he said in court. But did you know Drake had a song called Brian Steele? Let me bring up those lyrics because they're actually about one of the lawyers on Diddy's team. I'm gonna. Now we all know Drake has been fumbling the ball for a minute, but his song is "Shout out to Brian Steele. I'm too geeked for the guys. Yeah, whoa, I've been in the house, but I'm coming outside tonight, girl. You're so sexy, there's nothing that I want to keep on the side. Yeah, I love how you always be speaking your mind. I'm trying not to sing it in any way because I don't want to get any copyrights. But why would you sing about such a lawyer, especially somebody representing P. Diddy? Because this man has been known to represent the worst of the worst. And you're making a song about it. That was a terrible move there, Drake. Terrible move. But anyway, the jury is 12 people with 6 to spare. And the questions that they were asked were questions about, surprisingly, I'm going to look at you in the camera just so you know I'm talking to you. But surprisingly, they were asked questions about over 190 celebrities. 190 celebrities.
Are the names released, or is that
some of the names? Not all of them, because they don't want to alert anybody. Basically, they don't want to show their hand right now. And the next question was if they were ever a victim of SA, or if explicit content would make it hard for them to be fair. Which is a fair question because they are sex tapes. So if you're kind of I don't want to say prudish, but you don't want to make choices off of that.
No.
But yeah, let's go ahead and react to the wonderful Melanin King. Now, I love her, guys, so I will post her above here, and again, links will be below.
New York right now, the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, is back on the stand under cross-examination. And moments ago, the judge just weighed in on timing, telling the defense they have until tomorrow's lunch break to continue questioning her, adding that anything after that would be up to his discretion.
Combs's defense has been trying to challenge roughly 9 hours of direct testimony that Ventura has already given. She has told jurors that Combs allegedly abused her, and she said that over their 11-year relationship, she felt threatened at times to perform sexual acts with him. With us now is attorney and legal affairs commentator Ariva Martin. Ariva, what is your reaction to how the defense is approaching this so far?
So, Brianna, we expected this. We know from the opening statement from the defense, a big part of their case is trying to get this jury to believe that Cassie Ventura was a consenting adult in these sexual acts, these freak-offs that we've heard so much about during her direct testimony. So a lot of what the defense has been doing today during this cross-examination is showing text messages and getting Cassie Ventura to acknowledge that, according to these text messages, she was a willing participant in some of these freak-offs. But one of the things that we haven't done or haven't heard yet, Brianna, is the connection between those text messages in the early stages of the relationship and the violence that we heard so much about during the direct testimony yesterday. And I think when the prosecution gets to redirect, we're going to see them try to link the violence that happened later in the relationship to her participation and make the argument still that she was being coerced into these commercial sex acts with escorts, despite how she may have felt about Sean Diddy Combs in the beginning of their relationship.
And Ariva, what do you make of the judge here weighing in on the timing? Because the defense, as our recent reporting indicated, had wanted to go at least through the end of tomorrow evening. I wonder if you think the judge is going to press for them to speed things up here, and that might affect their strategy.
Absolutely, Boris. The judge has said from the beginning of this trial that it was going to be an efficient trial, and he was going to do his best to keep it around 6 to 8 weeks. He has said he'll give the defense until tomorrow afternoon with their cross-examination, and any time after that will be at his discretion. Oftentimes, these examinations, Boris, start to become repetitive, and the judge is going to assess whether tomorrow afternoon, if he believes the questioning is indeed repetitive, if he believes enough information or if the defense has been given ample time to make their case. So it's always that balance between giving each party, each side, an opportunity to make their case, but at the same time, keeping the trial moving so that jurors, that's the big issue here, is keeping these jurors engaged.
Picture of her time with Diddy, and she didn't hold back. She went fully in. Cassie claimed that Diddy threatened to release the freak-off tapes and that the world and her mom, if she didn't comply with his demands. Like, can you imagine the fear of that? And these weren't just private videos. They were recorded sex sessions, allegedly used to blackmail her into submission. Cassie said Diddy told her, "You can play around if you want, but I'll ruin your reputation." Now, many of us, especially women, we were wondering, what was going on with her health after going on 4-day freak-offs weekly? Well, she says that the freak-offs wrecked her health, that she had crippling sores in her mouth after performing oral, and that it was so bad she could barely swallow. She also suffered painful urinary tract infections, UTIs, that made every moment agony. Yet Diddy allegedly forced her to keep going, week after week, day after day. How do you endure that as a woman? Well, she turned to party favors, okay? And she mentioned it in order that she had to numb herself, not only the mental pain, but the physical. And that This entire relationship was a torture chamber. She says that nothing good comes from the freak offs. You treat me like Ike Turner and humiliate me. And she was comparing him to Ike Turner, who famously abused Tina Turner and held control over.
I do want to say, guys, like during this day, going through the freak off details, what that Cassie was giving the statements. Originally, all of his kids were there, but the girls had to stand up and leave when they went into details about these sessions. Now, that could be kind of telling that the princesses could leave because they felt uncomfortable. But why didn't the boys leave? Because they have been implicated a lot in these sessions. But I did want to go ahead and add that. You got to keep in mind too. Diddy had the witness list, so he knew who was going to testify. He knows who's going to testify. So why even have your kids in there to begin with?
He has completely lost touch with reality, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Not only her and their relationship, but her entire career. And I want you to think about it. Like, I have been thinking, like, what was the health implications? Because maybe a man can go on and on and on having this much sex for hours a day with no stops, no breaks, and then been beaten in between. And then this going on, not only hours, but for days.
It's absolutely appalling because people don't realize that manipulation doesn't happen in 24 hours.
No, but
And she had a very successful career before she got with Diddy. So she had money. The money wasn't any part of it.
it doesn't make it okay anyway.
You also got to believe that she was. A lot of people say 18, but looking at it, she was like end of 17 when he first started to talk to her. They just weren't public.
Yeah, she was very young.
A woman's body is not meant to do that at all. We get all types of things, infections, and like it can really damage you down there. I have been wondering about that, and I'm hoping we get some more details about her health. Maybe there's a doctor, maybe there's some records. Some of you guys may not want to know these details, but to me, that is crucial because she was doing these freak offs while she was in pain, while she had sores in her mouth from doing so much oral. Honestly, I don't even want to imagine being in that type of situation. Let's talk about the moment that everyone's talking about. It pretty much broke the internet. Jonathan Odie. Yes, I've done a full video about him. I talked about how in 2018, when he was arrested, he revealed these freak offs. And the prosecution, they pulled out a binder full of escorts. And his picture was one of the pictures of the escorts who were involved, okay, in this whole thing. And Cassie confirmed that he was actually Diddy.
This that she's referring to, he did openly say in court as a witness that he was paid to do the giggity with Cassie while Diddy watched, and has also admitted to seeing him violent towards her. Cassie was not in control of anything. Diddy even went so much as telling them what position to be in, what to say, how to do his little role play game.
I get that some people have open relationships and all kinds of different setups that work for them, but the key point is consensual, not coerced.
Guilt tripping is abuse too.
Well, it's all part of the manipulation.
It is. It's gaslighting. But he did seem very defensive over Cassie. This Max worker did because he felt bad for her. And Cassie did say on day 2, when she went back in a memo that she played, that was played in court in her iCloud or BlackBerry something. It said on Cassie's note to herself, he owns me. Even when I sleep, I'm not free.
Was there a date for it, like time frame?
It was a couple. I want to say a year into their relationship.
It's all a long time ago.
Yeah, because they went back to the beginning of their relationship, which I don't think they're trying to use that against but it's a 19, 18, 19-year-old. We'll get into it, guys.
Favorite. This is insane. Cassie said that she recognized him from the freak-offs and that there are tapes of her with Odie that the jury is going to see. What is on those tapes? Well, the prosecution also named 8 other men who are expected to testify, all allegedly hired through cowboys and angels and different services. That is pretty sick. He would have her call the actual agencies, the male dancers or escorts, and she would have to facilitate bringing them in. But then there were some that Diddy just really, really loved that were his absolute favorites. And Jonathan Odie, back in 2018, he shot up one of Trump's hotels, and when he was arrested, he's in a hospital gown, being interrogated, and out of the blue, he just starts talking about how he worked in Diddy's freak-offs and that he slept with Cassie during those. And then he also mentioned herpes at that time. He mentioned a lot of things. Now, this is key because this was before Cassie's lawsuit. This is before any of these allegations or we even knew the word freak-off. 2018. Keep in mind, they broke up 2017, 2018. So this was fresh on his mind when he was part of it. So we have to wonder, what else is he going to tell? Because again, he was the first whistleblower on this whole freak-off thing. Today, the government was trying to lay out step by step how Diddy allegedly ran a sophisticated operation through his bad boy entertainment empire. Cassie's testimony was the blueprint of this. She described how Diddy's team, the security, the assistants, even the hotel bookers, well, they worked like a well-oiled machine in order to make the freak-offs happen. Hotels were booked under the fake names, and then security guards lined the walls to intimidate anyone from leaving. And employees, well, they set up FaceTime calls for Diddy to watch remotely. So while Cassie had to go for days and days still doing the freak off, even if Diddy wasn't there, he wanted to make sure she was still doing it. And while he would go off and do business and had to arrange other stuff, he would make sure she stayed on FaceTime the whole time with an assistant in order for him to view that she was still enduring the freak off while he was gone. Now, we know that Cassie said that he stopped her career. She had a 10-album deal, but only 1 album came out, and that she's done hundreds of songs that he's never released. Well, she would get club appearances, and she would get paid $75,000 to $200,000. Now, one of these appearances was in Atlantic City. While she was doing that appearance, a guy approached her at the club, and he said, "I saw your tapes." What? Cassie freaked out and texted Diddy, "They saw my tapes. What's going on?" Diddy's response? Keep him close. Cassie, with her friend Carrie, invited this guy and a DJ named Kid to New York to dinner, and surrounded by security guards in a private dining room in order to intimidate them. This is what Cassie had to go to New York with Diddy. She had him bring them up in order to have this dinner with all the security to make them feel bullied and I guess not speak. Or he was really worried about people exposing their secrets. So, but you have to think, how did he see this tape? How did he get involved with this? Who had these tapes? Who had access to this? And this is something Cassie never knew, because although he said he would keep these tapes in order to blackmail her, she would have people like him that out of the blue would say they saw it. We also know, now this is not part of the court case, but they may call him in. 50 Cent. 50 Cent spoke out years ago. He absolutely hates Diddy. He's spoken about Diddy for years. But years ago, he says Diddy sent him a freak-off tape of Cassie performing, and that when he saw it, he was like, "Nah, man, I ain't about that." But he believed it was like some type of initiation that Diddy was trying to do in order to get him roped in and possibly have him tied to it. Now, 50, you're not going to blackmail him. And he doesn't mess with Diddy at all, like I said. So he just, from that point, and even before, he just knew Diddy, he didn't want anything to do with him. He had heard about the blackmail. He heard about the freak off. And then with him seeing that, he just could not understand why a dude would have his woman engaging in that type of thing and then sending it around to other people. Now, there's another horrifying incident that came to light today. Cassie said Diddy barged into her home while she was sleeping, started a fight for absolutely no reason, and started to beat her. He beat her so badly that her face was busted open. Now, she had two friends there, Deontay and another woman, and they jumped in to stop him. But Diddy was like a wild animal, like a demon, and that he overpowered all three. It was absolutely gory, and that she had a wound on her forehead that was pretty large, and it was glaring to see. And they believed that she was going to need a plastic surgeon in order to fix it. Now, one of his security people, Fahim, well, they quietly arranged for her to get that surgery on her mangled face. Cassie then sent a photo to Diddy of her mangled face. And guess what he said? This is what happens when you talk too much. Huh? Like what? She was just sleeping. Like she wasn't doing anything. He literally burst into her home while asleep, beat her up, overpowered the other people that tried to help her. She needed plastic surgery. And his response was, this is what happens when you talk too much. There is a lot to Cassie's testimony, but it's not just about that. The judge, he's not playing any games. Diddy's defense, led by Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, well, they tried to get some last minute things pushed through. They were asking to isolate witnesses or to limit their access to lawyers. The judge, he wasn't having it. He told them, don't try anything cute today. So when Agnifilo jumped up, promising to handle it personally, they're saying that the judge actually rolled his eyes, and like everyone in the courtroom almost laughed. He is actually putting his foot down. He doesn't want any shenanigans because there's a lot to get through. Like this case is going to last 8 to 10 weeks. And if the defense is always jumping in or trying to do these last minute things, it's going to hold the case up. And that's especially important. Why? With Cassie testifying, keep in mind, she's 8.5 months pregnant. She can give birth any day. They have to get through her testimony. They can't get caught up in all these legal maneuvering and loopholes and jumping through hoops in order to please the defense, because they could be trying to delay and push out her testimony in case she gives birth, because her testimony is expected to last days. Now, I don't know if it's going to wrap up today, but then after she gives her testimony, there's then cross-examination. And then the prosecutors can then recross her. Then the defense will get a chance to recross her again. So I'm expecting her to be on the stand for a few more days, but at any moment, the judge has to keep things going, because at any moment she could give birth. And what is that going to do to the case? Do they bring her back after she gives birth, like at the end of the trial or the middle of the trial? I don't know how that will work. Or will the defense try to throw out her testimony as a whole? I don't know. But either way, the judge is not playing games with anyone involved. We have a long way to go, but Diddy's team could be in trouble. Mark Agnifilo is trying to argue that Cassie was a willing participant. But then when you think about the sores in her mouth, the UTI, the busted face, the beatings, the text messages begging Diddy to stop, and they're leaning into this idea that Cassie stayed for 11 years, living this lavish lifestyle. So she must have been okay with it. But after hearing about all of the magic pills that were used and all of the beating her blindly, waking her up in the middle of the night, then you have some of the male workers who are corroborating their stories, actually seeing these things happen to her. It's going to be an uphill battle to say that she was a willing participant of it. Now, Tia.
They were conversations from a 17/18-year-old. Keep the age difference in mind. And I'm not going to repeat all of the text messages because to me there's no reason to. And as somebody that's been a survivor of narcissistic abuse, the love bombing, the abuse doesn't start from day one. It's a gradual thing until you become isolated and all you care about is basically pleasing that.
Chips away your self-respect and
Yeah.
self-worth.
You become so numb, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry that your hand hurt from punching me in the face. It sounds stupid, but that's the mentality that you're in. Because just because you don't want them to be more upset, because somehow it's your fault that when they hit you, they hurt their soul.
TMZ today released a video, and it shows Cassie with Diddy. They're on some type of vacation. They're celebrating something. French Montana is there, a couple other people, and they show her like smiling and hanging all over Diddy. And what it makes me believe is that this was put out by Diddy's team. This has never been seen before. This was put out by their team through TMZ in order to paint the light to the public that, look, this woman was enjoying this lifestyle. She was having fun. Look, she's dancing. She's smiling. She's living it up. But when you know, and they're trying to paint that picture, but you have to think about it. Just because a person is smiling or in one moment nothing's happening. I mean, she walked red carpets with him. She did interviews about him. She didn't speak of it then. She's smiled, you know, since that time, since the thing started, since the freak offs and the beatings and all that started. That does not mean that the other things didn't take place. So I don't know why they put out this tape. I think it's to sway people more, because there are a lot of people who believe that Cassie was just a willing participant, that she knew what she was doing, that she was part of this whole ring, that she's the one who called the escort. She's the one who, I keep saying bad words, but just forget it. She keeps calling them. She's the one who paid them. She's the one who willingly did it. She says that she would get jealous if he was with other women. That's one reason why she would do it. And so you have to think, was she a willing participant? But again, with all of the damage done to her, I don't see how a person is willing, you know, and you can compare like the age difference. But I think the biggest thing is Diddy was her employer. That is going to be really difficult for him to overcome. They haven't even charged him with that, but he can actually face charges related to him being her employer and doing all these things to her and having her kept, you know, holding over the blackmail tapes, all of the freak off tapes, but also holding her career over her head. And she's talked about the career, talked about how he put it on ice. He wouldn't let her put out the rest of the albums on her deal. And not only that, she recorded hundreds of songs that he refused to release and would kind of dangle it like a carrot over her head, because without him, she had no career. And especially if the blackmail came out. And then if he badmouthed her, she could get blackballed from the industry as a whole and have absolutely no career, no money, nothing, you know, no support. What does she do then? So, you know, you have to look at all of these angles. But again, this is just early in the case, but I have some more details to give you. So Cassie also revealed that Diddy forced her into a freak off on her 29th birthday, like right at the party, right after she thought it was safe. You have to imagine Cassie finally happy. She's surrounded by her friends, her family, feeling free for once, feeling safe.
I do want you guys go to the Kim Porter book if you haven't already. He did the exact same thing to Kim Porter. She thought she was safe on that day, on her birthday. In a similar instance when she found out she was pregnant with her oldest, with the twins, I believe. Yeah, the twins. She thought that, oh, he was going to be so excited, but he pretty much offered her up as a sacrifice fantasy to his friends, saying, oh, they're all going to want a piece of you now you're pregnant. When she thought she'd be safe because she was pregnant.
Diddy had thrown her this big surprise party. So she's thinking he's in a good mood. She was vibing. They were having fun. But then boom, he busts in and demands a freak off right then and there in the middle of the story. Cassie begged to stay with her friends, saying that her mouth was full of sores and that her UTIs were causing crippling pain. But Diddy, he didn't care. The security dragged her out and forced her to do the session despite the pain and despite her objections. Like what? And that people were there to witness this. So we have got to see, who are they going to call to the stand where the security drags her out of the middle of her own birthday party so that she could do a freak off. And again, you have to think about manipulation and control. She's thinking this is a good moment. I'm not going to do a freak off. It's my birthday. He's leaving me alone. And then for him to bust in and drag her away and make her do it. She's on this high. Then he drags her down to her lowest after she had been begging him to stop all of this. But then they force her.
Narcissist loves to ruin your birthday, Christmas, and any holiday that's important to you. They somehow make it how you did them wrong. Excuse me, how you did them wrong for somehow cause an argument to ruin that day for you, because it can never be about you.
Her to do it on her birthday. Like, you have to think of the manipulation. Did he plan to do this all along? I'm going to give you this huge birthday party and you're going to be having fun. You're going to be feeling good, but you can't be having too much fun. Even though it's your birthday, you still have to please me. You still have to do what I want. I don't care if your mouth is full of sores. I don't care if you have UTIs and all of this going on downstairs.
Just to give you a brief description of the back and forth, now this is very light in comparison to half the questions she's been asked, but I know they've stated about the drug use, but I do want you to know that when you're in an abusive relationship, you do tend to turn to drugs or alcohol to disassociate. And I will read verbatim what the court document said. And the transcript, I should say, as far as our conversations back and forth. So she was asked by Diddy's lawyers. She was asked if they referred to each other as to themselves as get high partners. She said they did. The defense asked if she did drugs with friends. She said yes. She actually said that a lot of her friend group did drugs. And she said yes. She was highly addicted back then and it made her disassociate. Again, you don't want to be in that reality after a while.
I mean, if you're being controlled and you don't see a way out, you settle for numb, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I have a flashback. I'll cut that part out. Okay. So Cassie said he wanted her to stop doing the drugs with friends, which she found very hypocritical. And she was then asked what happened when he found out that she did stuff with friends. And they said he was extremely explosive. Cassie said the freak-offs lasted for days because of the drugs, because they were on ketamine, ecstasy, cocaine, you name it, it was going around there.
How are they still alive?
I don't know. It was a very drug-fueled, addictive relationship, and that's probably...
Could you really be on all of that and be aware?
No. But that's the point, she didn't want to be aware, did she?
So why are they not thinking about this? Why have they not had a doctor say, well, this is what would happen if you took a combination of...
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have.
Privy to everything, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, they all have their own private doctors too, so nothing really gets out there. Some of the doctors were probably in there with them, because it was noted plenty of times that they were given IV bags to continue them to go and to help with the come down.
Prosecutors in March of just this year, so just a couple months back, and they were talking about essentially kind of what one thing I kind of remember from Daniel Phillips' testimony is just kind of the way he would talk about Cassie per se. Like, for example, yesterday he had said that Cassie was one of the most beautiful women that he had ever seen. He had also said had Cassie given him a chance that he would absolutely date her. So it seems like he kind of had more on his end, more of a platonic feeling towards Cassie, especially kind of in that need to kind of protect her. So, Philip said that, Daniel Phillip, said that he wasn't necessarily jealous seeing Diddy have sex with Cassie, but he had allegedly told federal prosecutors that he was on October 7th of 2024, and this is where a sidebar had happened. And so after the sidebar was over, Daniel Phillip was questioned again, would he feel jealous because he had liked Cassie romantically? And so Daniel Phillip said he didn't recall saying that to prosecutors. And so when the redirect happened,
Maureen Comey just really kind of had to redirect all of the cross-examination, all of the back and forth, kind of back to a focus. So she asked, about Diddy directing and why that wasn't brought up necessarily. Said that Diddy had directed Cassie to give him, oral, rub baby oil on him. They were asked, Daniel Phillip was asked about money, given more money for sex, $3,800 more than he would be if he were to come over to dance, or for time, I should say. He said he was paid anywhere between $700 to $5,000, $6,000 just for sex, and then essentially he's paid $0 and 0 cents if he didn't have sex with Cassie or in the room with Diddy. And so, during the redirect, Daniel Phillip said Cassie normally didn't respond to his text messages, but then there was a point that, after Diddy had beat Cassie, that Diddy was actually trying to get Cassie to continue to perform sexually with Daniel Phillip, and said that Daniel couldn't get an erection after kind of hearing the slaps going on in a nearby room. He said he essentially just wanted to hug her because he could tell that she was shaking and that she was afraid, and that pretty much reaffirmed that Diddy beat Cassie essentially, and even called her the B word. And so then they were talking under the recross. He was asked again about, text messages that he said he didn't receive responses to. And then some of the exhibits were showing that, Cassie had responded very casually to some of those messages. So some of those were pretty much the big takeaways from Daniel Phillip.
Cassie was also asked by the lawyers who and her family knew about the abuse. She said her mom and dad learned in 2011 when Combs went to Connecticut to speak to them about their relationship problems. She was asked, did friends know? Cassie replied, unfortunately, yes.
And nobody stepped up and said,
a few people stepped up, and Diddy threw one woman off a balcony.
What?
Yeah. I'll post that in here too if I find it.
Publicised over here.
Well, it didn't get publicised until everything came out because everybody was kept quiet. Yeah. Again, money and power. Money is given to the wrong people, that's for sure. She even testified that she witnessed Combs, aka Diddy, abusing other people and became very inebriated and very abusive. Cassie said she broke up with him by sending him a video of Diddy with another woman. She thought the staff were like family, but everyone was lying. She said that on the stand. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at Diddy's meltdown after her talking about all of this abuse.
Admitting to the drugs and admitting to sore mouth from oral and all those, knowing there are kids going to see him, but doing it to make sure that nobody else gets hurt that way. That is so brave, and it's disgusting, the comments over Facebook, laughing emojis, and she knew what she was getting into. And
why can't you have this conversation with the cameras on?
I was trying to get me words.
She is one extremely strong woman to be there because she didn't have to. She also didn't need to do the lawsuit.
It's hard enough being pregnant, heavily pregnant, hormones, discomfort and trauma, but then to have to air it out in public with everybody to judge you, but and also knowing their children could see it.
Yeah.
But she's doing it anyway.
Extremely brave woman, and we commend you, Cassie. Thank you so much for all you're doing for other women. Well, thank you for grabbing a brew with us, guys, as we deep into the disgusting behaviours of P. Diddy. There will be one a week, along with other creepypasta reaction videos and all that other good stuff. We should do a video reacting to stupid laws.
Yes.
We should do a video on that too.
At home.
But
I got a bit excited for a moment then.
I saw him earlier when I was talking to Mum about the law where you can still pee in a hat if you're a woman, if you're pregnant.
In a policeman's hat.
A policeman's hat, be specific, don't break the law by peeing in a random person's hat.
And there's a law that wasn't outlawed in England. There's a certain spot of land you can stand on and still shoot. I think he's a Welshman with a bow and arrow.
Just a Welshman.
I may be wrong on the... I'll confirm it.
We'll confirm it. We will get back to you. But again, we are researching because we are getting a couple of series together with a lot of research. So do be patient with them. Otherwise, we will keep posting videos and you will get Diddy updates. So please, please, please like and subscribe.
And if there's anything that you'd like us to cover, or you want something, send something for us to react to, grabyourbrew@gmail.com. But please label it either episode or react.
Because we don't want to open the react videos and see them before. Because then you're not
We
going to
already had a mishap with reactions recently.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
So
can't sing, so don't expect more from me.
We lost the videos were full of reacts, so it'd be really good if you could label them.
I hit record this time.
Woo.
I'm an adult today.
Big girl pants.
Again, go ahead and follow us. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have an amazing week.